Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, you know, there are just 176 days until Christmas 2021. And, you know, I've got some exciting Santa Claus visitation news to share next week. We're working things out. We're getting contracts signed. And you can find out how to schedule visits with Santa this coming season. That's coming up very soon. So appreciate all those who supported me last year. And maybe this year we'll be able to do that again and maybe even grow that. That would be great.
Sweet.
Yes. And so as it is every Thursday, I've got a co-host, a magic maker from Reimagining Star Wars. Hey, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you too. It's not the only day we see each other.
No. But you know what? I've got running at the bottom our Wall of Fame. Those who beat Santa in predictions this last week. And you know what? We tied. A magic maker and we tied. And I see that you got your predictions in for tomorrow's episode just as we were starting.
Yes. I told you I did my homework and I did my final assignment to turn it in before we started.
Yes, you did. I see Zufium just got his in as well. Many people still missing. Well, you know, if you've been participating in the predictions and you haven't got them in, you still have a little bit of time. I put the link in the chat or in the description. I put the link in the Den of Nerds Discord and in the Covert Discord. That's our Discord. If you guys need that, let me know and we'll try to get it to you. But we'll have a lot of fun going through the predictions every week to see what's going on. And I know I didn't have this schedule, but I want to share it because there's some fun stuff coming up, and I'll show you guys what this looks like from my end. And I see where people are voting, and just going through the blues, it means yes. So you look what people think is going to happen. Crosshair, we have a high vote for Crosshair showing up. And then we have a really high for Vice Admiral Rampart. Omega using her energy bow, that's 100%er. Camino. People are going heavy on Camino this week, which I find fascinating because all of the other possibilities, we have Sid here, the whole from the trailer where we see those ATTEs, that's the last thing left from the trailer that we haven't seen. And look at this, ATTEs. 70% of the people are saying, nope, not this week. Oh, no. And then Visit Raxus. Again, 77% of people saying nope. So I find that fascinating. That it's the only remaining footage from the trailer. And people are saying, no, I don't think yet.
Yeah, I think it's holding off. I mean, could be wrong, but I also agree with some of those things. That think it's coming a little later.
Oh boy, here we go.
But not past the 2/3 mark. Just we're not there yet.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, not 2/3. I mean, it's a 3/4 mark, I should say. So midway through the half season, I should say, is where I would put it in.
I'm really looking forward to seeing how this shakes out tomorrow. So just seeing how people are voting. The Wall of Fame next week might be considerably less.
It could be.
Thank you all, everybody. And Martin, thank you so much for being here. And you guys, Zuvium has been hilarious. So, Sheev, where's your predictions? We don't have your predictions yet. Get them in there, Sheev.
Do you realize we created a condition where you could be both on the Wall of Shame and Wall of Fame at the same time?
It is possible. It is possible. If you score less than a magic maker, that puts you on the Wall of Shame. And so if a magic maker beats Santa, and if you beat Santa, you're on the Wall of Fame. So yeah, you could be on both. And I was having a lot of fun over at the Den of Nerds Live Discord this morning, as well as the Den of Nerds Live live stream, because Josh was trolling Star Wars Theory a little bit, giving him a hard time. Yeah, well, apparently yesterday Josh texted Theory, and Theory didn't respond right away, so Josh was giving him a hard time. And but here's the kicker: Josh is the most notorious ghoster on the planet. Like he is terrible. And the reason is he's so busy, and I also think he's got a healthy dose of ADD. So he's doing stuff all day long. He's super busy all day long, and he just doesn't sit down to take time to reply to messages. So yeah, there you go. Nikki knows, and not only that, but it's hilarious too, because I know that Sheev the Wise, right? Sheev has been helping Josh with the Bad Batch live streams, and even Sheev can have difficulty getting hold of Josh, and he's running his show. So there you go. Yeah. Josh gets all the coal, and I love to tell the story just because Josh is so funny. We took vacation before all this happened, back 2019, so 2 summers ago. We took vacation. We went to Pennsylvania, and I've been chatting with Josh off and on for the weeks leading up to, and planning where could we go meet Josh, have lunch with Josh, treat him to a nice, lunch. And so we planned it all out. We drive out, we go into Pittsburgh. I go to where we're going to meet, and I text Josh, "Hey, I just got here." He goes, "Oh, sorry, dude, I can't make it."
You need to get a special lignite coal. That's the brown coal, the really dirty coal for Josh.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So I love to give him a hard time. He's just he's got a good heart. He's super hardworking, but he also just really bad at that. So hey, I see a lot of people jumping in. Levi Bond, Levi, you don't have your predictions in for this week, my friend. You and she.
Shame.
Right? You got a little bit of time to get them in there. And Captain Pennsylvania is visiting. We've got all kinds of folks here. But Mark, Star Wars Santa Bingo, Josh vacation story. I have told that story before. So we've got other folks here. Aiden, glad that you made it today. We've got a lot of things to cover. What a great time to be alive. No kidding, aggressively relaxing with Star Wars content. There is tons and tons of things to talk about. And so I want to jump in a little bit. And Will Morgan's here. Hello, Meta Egg. We've been waiting on your Bad Batch video. I know I've been chatting with Will, and he's a good friend. So, yeah. Smash like and Omega gets her armor. There you go. And you know what? We're getting really close to our monetization. We are almost at 3,700 hours.
Wow!
I know 4,000 is the target to reach before Santa's birthday at the later this month. We have 3 weeks from today.
Come on, guys! Give Santa a Christmas present. Christmas in July.
That's Lego Films. Smash like if you hate Warner Brothers. That's very funny. So yeah, 3 weeks. 3 weeks from today is Santa's birthday. And if we can get that monetization before my birthday, we're going to have a big celebration stream. On Monday night, I was invited as part of the Nerd Theory Council to come on, and I shared that was our goal. And Theory said that he would drop in and help celebrate with us. So given that I could get hold of Theory and get him in, he would. And here's the question. Who's more likely to attend? Nerd Theory or Josh Lucas, right? Who's more likely?
Nerd Theory, or you mean Star Wars Theory?
Yeah, Star Wars Theory. Yeah, Star Wars. Yeah, yes. Star Wars Theory.
Star Wars Theory is a lot more willing to be there.
Yeah,
because he manages his time better.
Oh, but that's probably true. Yeah, I think, and I see everybody's voting. Yeah, theory is more likely to make it.
That and he knows he kind of started you off along with Josh. So
Josh,
he has some skin in the game with you, man. I mean, it's like
exactly. Exactly.
Josh has skin in the game, but he's so eclectic in his own life and his own mind. So it's hard to
it's hard to say.
It's hard to say what he's going to do.
We need a prediction sheet for who's going to show up.
Yeah,
we should do that the week of the celebration.
That's right.
We'll see everybody who gets it right. I think the likelihood of either showing up is probably less than half. But if I were to rate who I think is more likely to show up, I would put Theory ahead of Josh.
We need to hit him up on his live. He's got to have the live stream next week or something. We need to hit him up and just pound it and say, "Hey, it's coming up. You need to be there."
And I saw that Gray said Levi and Gray live somewhat close to each other. That's awesome. I did not know. So when we make our way out there, Mrs. Claus and I, we're wanting to go out. There's Martin. Martin's got to poke the bear.
Always got to have one.
Which first, Josh turning up or my vintage collection blurred?
Vintage collection.
Martin, you're hilarious. I absolutely love Martin, and we were giving our friend Mark Hamilton a hard time on Discord last night because Mark said if Hasbro would let him get a HasLab project for the Ghost, that he would never complain again about Hasbro not giving fans what they want. And we're like, yeah, there's no truth in that statement, Mark.
But they won't give you what you want this time either. So,
yeah, absolutely no truth in the statement that Mark would never complain about Hasbro again. That's just it's not the right. Okay, yeah, lies, deception. Yeah, Martin put.
That's good. That's a good use of that line. Lies, deception.
It was great. So there you go. We do have a lot to talk about, and one of the first things to bring up, just to kind of close the loop a little bit, is today Hasbro is supposed to start shipping the vintage collection Slave One models out to the
Boba Fett Starship.
Who pre-ordered, right? So that big controversy dusted up earlier in the week, last weekend, about the renaming of the Slave One to Boba Fett's Starship, right?
Right. They were so right in doing that.
Well, you're just trying to stir the pot. I brought up
make you think that.
Here. Because the tab, if you go to StarWars.com and you go to the Slave One site, the tab says Slave One. But the interesting thing, and Martin showed us this today, the URL actually says Boba Fett Starship. Oh no, there's the evidence that people are looking for, and then and of course on the page itself it says Slave One. So yeah. The question is, when I get my vintage collection Slave One, is it going to say Slave One on it, or is it going to say Boba Fett Starship? What do you think?
Boba Fett Starship.
You do?
Mm-hmm. I do. No. I think all the packaging is the easiest thing to change.
I don't think it will. I think it's going to say Slave One right on it. And
we'll see.
We will see. Yeah, is the Lego collection vehicles across Star Wars are it's common practice. I would venture to say more common than uncommon for them to put on the character's name and the vehicle rather than the vehicle name. they did that with the Bad Batch's vehicle as well. The Havoc Marauder says Bad Batch's cargo ship. They said it on here. They've said it on. There's a long list of them where it's just one after another after another. That the naming convention for the Lego models is to put the character name and what it is. So in this case, the issue is that in the past they've released the Lego model of Slave One. It said Slave One on it, and this time it's a reissue, and they changed it to the naming convention they use like on every other model set that they have, and people are losing their minds. And then there's also this deal about the guy at Lego who said, no, they're changing the name. They haven't said anything. So, we just did that to comply with it. And there was another modeler at a convention.
Say that again. So he said they're not changing the name, or that they are changing the name and they're complying with it.
Yeah, they are changing the name. Lego was complying with that name change. But it hasn't been announced yet. And then there was a model maker that does custom models or model kits. And those model kits, they were reached out by Lucasfilm as well and told that they wanted them to put the label on there about Boba Fett's starship. So I think that likely we are going to start seeing that happen. But I think this vintage collection model is supposed to ship today. We'll see. I think when it arrives at my house, it's going to say Slave One right on it.
Okay. It depends on when that package was done. So, I mean, if it was recently packaged, I would say it was changed. And if it was previously packaged before the dictate started coming out, then it's probably the same. So it just depends.
Martin, there he is again. It'll actually say, still no blurred Santa, right on my package, right? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Levi.
It won't even have his name. It'll say delivered to Blurgless.
Blurgless. No blurs for you.
For you.
Yeah. And Levi accurately points out that all those ships do have names. The biggest one being the Bad Batches, right? We see, it's been mentioned many times, even in this season, that the name of that ship is the Marauder, right? That's let's go to the Marauder and da-da-da. It's the Havoc Marauder. That's the name of the ship. It's mentioned in the show multiple times, and it is a primary part of the show. So we see it lots of times. We hear its name lots of times, but the Lego model says on it, Bad Batch cargo ship. What's wrong with the word Havoc Marauder, right? People aren't losing their minds about it. People aren't getting, overly worked up about it.
It's not a legacy ship, though.
It's not a legacy ship. That's true. And I will also bring up the point where and you and I briefly mentioned this before, that let me see, Bad Batch attack ship. Yeah, there he goes. General Grievous's fighter, Anakin's starfighter, Knights of Ren ship, right? It goes on and on. There's a long list. You could even go back to the original trilogy era and find where it says Darth Vader's Star Destroyer on the model set.
Right.
Darth Vader's Star Destroyer. That's back in, before all this stuff dusted up. A long time ago. And in that case, why did they change the name to Executor on the package? Right? I think it's a whole bunch of nonsense is what I think. Now, from that perspective.
So which is it then? Are they changing the name or are they not changing the name? I mean, you just gave some evidence that they were, and now you're saying they're not. So which is it?
Yeah, I think eventually we may see some rebranding. I don't know that they will ever change the name in existing material. So during the original trilogy, or during some of the comics and the books and everything that's been released that has Slave One on it, I don't think that name will ever change. I don't think they're going to go back and retcon it out, anything like that. But I do think there may be a little bit of renaming that goes along in the same sort of fashion that in Rebels they renamed the Ghost several times. Whenever they were going incognito, they would mask the name of the Ghost and give it some other nomenclature so that they could sneak in one place or another, right?
Okay.
So I don't think...
But that's not a name change. I mean, that's just a masking.
Right, it's a masking. And so that's what I'm thinking, that they may do that kind of thing where they need to mask the name of the Slave One, and it will be known as Boba Fett Starship or something else, just something entirely different. But I do not think they're going to change the name at all.
So, hold on, wait a minute. So let me get this straight. So you're saying they're going to mask it, and in the mask you'll be like, what do we name it? We'll just name it Boba Fett Starship.
Right. Well, I think that probably won't be the name. I just say that. I say that that's why they're putting on packages and stuff, because it may have multiple names as they go from one thing to another thing to another thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So
but they didn't do that with the Ghost, though. I mean, it's and it changed. It was masked. I mean, the crew always just called it the Ghost, and I think Boba Fett would always just call it Slave One. Unless he officially changes the name, or they change the name going forward for whatever reason.
Yeah. I think that they may mask the name, but I do not think Boba Fett will ever call it anything other than Slave One. And there's another precedent in Star Wars, and it's in several of the books that we have now. When the vessel is changed hands from one owner to another owner, the new owner oftentimes will give it a new name entirely, like completely rename it, change the registration on it, and now it is known as the new name, right? So in the event that Boba Fett is killed or dies, right, which Sheev and I have this fun little bet going. And the bet is, if Boba Fett kills Cad Bane, then I have to put Vader's lair behind me here for a week. And if Cad Bane is not killed by Boba Fett, or let's just say what would happen if Cad Bane killed Boba Fett? Oh, that would be awesome. And then
I disagree. That would not be awesome.
It would be awesome, because she would have to put Santa's cabin in his background for a week. And
so what if they kill each other?
What if she kill? Well, the bet is, if Boba Fett kills Cad Bane, then I have to put the Vader's lair. And if Cad Bane dies any other way other than by Boba Fett, then he has to put Santa's cabin up. So that's the bet.
Well, they're establishing the clear possibility that it could be Fennec Shand.
Yeah, she almost got the job done this last time, right?
I know, right?
So let's talk a little bit about episode 9.
And I think we also got evidence that is post showdown, Boba Fett Cad Bane showdown too, because you saw that plate we were talking about last week in this episode.
Right. That's right. So that Matt's Lego film. Speaking of Vader's lair, why is he doing stream in the middle of the night? No kidding, Matt. Right? I wake up in the morning, I see where Sheev the Wise, Vader's lair, posts a video at like 12:30 a.m. I'm like, Sheev, dude, like, I can't watch your videos when you're live streaming at midnight. You got some of us don't live in California, so let's remember that. Right.
If I ever move overseas, I will not keep that in mind. I'll still do what's convenient to me. So if I do a live stream, you'll be seeing it in the middle of the night.
Yeah. So this last episode of the Bad Batch, episode 9, we kind of touched base on. First of all, what's your overall? You like it a lot? Like it? Thought it missed?
No. It was really good. there's a few things that I would say that I thought were a bit over the top. Again, it's because Bane has already been established as over the top from his taking on of the Jedi, which I always thought was made him too tough in the Clone Wars. But so
Yep.
you have to ramp up the capabilities of everybody in that. So with that knowledge, Fennec Shan's capability against him was, for her being a starting bounty hunter, was amazing. And so I was like, well, this is her established of what these are is pretty high, considering what we know that Cad Bane was capable of.
Right. Yeah, just getting started, and she's already gone pretty much toe to toe with Cad Bane, right?
Right. And so for me, that was, I mean, I know what they're trying. I mean, I know why. I mean, you have to have it, it's there, but it's just, and I actually don't blame this writing. I blame previous writing where they were trying to keep the tension up between Cad Bane and the Jedi. So that I think that they either underpowered the Jedi or overpowered Cad Bane before. And so now that creates this kind of a disconnect here.
Yeah, because Cad Bane at one point lightsaber duels with Obi-Wan, right?
Right.
And holds his own. Now, it's not a long duel. It's not like it goes on, in a protracted series. But Cad picks up a lightsaber and goes at it with Obi-Wan. So, they were building up the tension for that fight. And he's actually dueling at that time, not only with Obi-Wan, but also, what's the dude's name? The other Jedi that was there.
I know Mace was in that whole thing. So, but it wasn't Mace at the time.
No.
It was.
It's
I know what you're talking about. I can't.
It's Asajj Ventress's boyfriend, right?
Oh,
Quinlan Voss.
Quinlan Voss.
Levi got it. Levi's brain is amazing. I don't know how he remembers all this stuff, but yeah.
That's because he's probably not as old as us.
No, well, that's true. When you get old, some of those things are tough. But yeah, Quinlan Voss. So Cad Bane is going toe to toe with Quinlan Voss and Obi-Wan, and he survives. So there you go. So that really does raise the stakes with him quite a bit. And he's a force to be reckoned with. So Fennec comes into this episode. She stands her own with him, manages to nearly kill him. Right.
Yep.
It was really, really a nice tension filled. And I'll say, like many folks, when Cad Bane got tossed over the edge of the railing, I was like, oh no. And I forgot he had the rocket boosters on his boots.
The first thing that happened when he went over the edge, I was like, well, how's he getting out of this one? I mean, this is my first thought. And then I wasn't like, oh no. I mean, I just knew he was going to get out of it. But I was like, and then he launched his leg rockets, and I went, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And that's pretty astounding. And Exar Kun isn't wrong here, right? The power scaling, when power levels are uneven, you keep scaling up weaker characters, and so all of a sudden, everybody is super, super powerful, right? And so I wanted to bring up a couple of other things, and I shared them with you right before we came on. I went back through. Big reveal in this episode, right? Huge reveal that Boba is Alpha, right? And Boba and Omega are effectually brother and sister.
Maybe.
Of course, you're going to try to. Of course,
there's always a possible twist. I mean, I think more likely, I think probably 95% that is true, and maybe even higher. But there is a small percentage possibility, and this is what you got to kind of think about what the next twist could be, and so I'm not even certain they'll go down this one, but this is a possibility. Is that you have him make an assessment, a statement that all the clones come from Jango Fett, all right, and then we see cloning cylinders where they're not, it's a different alien species, establishing that not all clones come from Jango Fett, and so so while that's so we see that, so there's a possibility that they're actually setting up a twist that she's not from Jango Fett.
Context is a big portion of that. When they're talking,
I'm with you. I'm
Yeah,
just saying that you lay these.
Sure.
That could be an inadvertent, but it could also be very intentional to establish that later on when we see this, that out of a cloning center comes a creature that is not a Jango clone. It establishes that just the first little step, the first little thread to say not all clones come from Jango Fett. That's all I'm saying.
I hear. So I went through it and I screen grabbed that little exchange because I think there's some things in here. And I see this. I see this conversation going on about Josh and Theory if they did an actual duel or fight. Josh is trained in martial arts, but Theory is jacked. So if I had to pick odds on one or the other, I would think Theory would just outmuscle Josh because Josh is getting older, right? He's not the young, nimble athlete that he may have been when he was younger.
Theory's also jiu-jitsu, so he'd take Josh no problem.
Yeah, I'm thinking Theory takes it. But anyway, hey there, Mike Porter. Hello, good to see you guys. And I don't even know Bitface, Face. Hello. Oh my goodness.
Bitix Face.
Yeah, today is Canada Day. So all of our Canadian friends, happy Canada Day. So anyway, I went through and I grabbed these screenshots because
where's my maple syrup?
I think there's some good discussion to have over what they actually said, right? Because there's a lot of people who picked on to this difference. So Tex says, I further analyzed Omega's genetic profile and discovered she has pure first generation DNA. So that's the pure first generation DNA. We'll keep going. All clones were created, and this is what you were just talking about, all clones, but context-wise, meaning the clone soldiers.
Right.
But all clones are created from a host named Jango Fett. And he goes on to say, let's go here. While our genetic structure was modified for growth acceleration and obedience, those are the two modifications that Tex mentions: growth acceleration and obedience. So these are the two. Says Omega is a pure genetic replication, meaning she does not have growth acceleration, nor does she have that obedience modifier. A lot of people have gone down this pure genetic replication bit, and that she is a pure first generation DNA. That there are a couple of things that may be of concern. One is, if you're a pure genetic replication, how are you female? How do you have blonde hair? How do you have these differences?
Exactly. I think that's the two layers that we're saying. So, I mean, while I didn't go down that path, I think they make the statement all clones, and we are then given a visual, and obviously, it's that all clones is referring to the clone soldiers, but that's not what he states. So it's that statement that all clones has the ability for us to establish a twist.
Right. I hear you there. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think the likelihood of that happen is minuscule.
Right. I mean, I said 95%. It doesn't mean anything, and maybe even higher than that. But I mean, I'm trying to give it some credence and that, so that if the twist has occurred, we go, oh, that was that 1% or that 5%.
Yeah. So I think she does age naturally. We've had other hints to that as well. Mm-hmm. In the episode guides that come out, and I highly recommend them. I know Levi, the All New Nerds, they've been doing it. Sheev the Wise has been doing it. We've been doing it here. Going back Monday after the episode airs, you go to StarWars.com, you go to the episode guide, and there's all kinds of stuff there. And in that stuff, sometimes they give us some good information. And there's 2 bits of information in this week's episode guide that are helpful. One is a picture of what all those critters were that were being in those vats, right? Were any of them a Snoke? Right, back to Martin. Martin. I cannot wait till we get another Hasbro event and Martin and I can get on. Martin and I are becoming very good friends, and that's what he's doing. He's trolling me and he's getting my attention. It's a lot of fun. See, here he goes again. Super optimistic. That's right, Martin. I will get a TVC blurb. It will happen. Yeah. Right.
So that's the question, guys. Here's the real vote. Will Santa get his blurb, or will it be proven that Omega is not from Jango Fett? Those are your 2 choices.
Santa's going to get his blurb. That's what's going to happen. So,
you're not getting your blurb.
I'm getting the blurb. It's happening. So yeah, Levi. Yeah, the mission fleet blurbs. Don't even start on the mission fleet stuff there, Levi. Right? The mission fleet stuff. They get everything. Right? The Black Series figures, they get stuff before the in most cases before our vintage collection stuff. And then there's the these mission fleet stuff. They've got all kinds of stuff. But no, I think it's more likely she's a Fett, right? She's a Fett, and she's done age unaltered. In a previous thing, they said that she had seen many generations of clones grow up before her eyes. So, Mickey, leave my coal alone. That's right, Mickey. Yeah, so that was an indicator that she was unaltered in age acceleration. And then we get it spelled out for us directly here, right? I think it's spelled out directly. She is not age accelerated at all, nor is her obedience.
There's a lot of information. While we get a lot of information, there's a lot of information left out.
Right. And I agree that she is essentially Boba Fett's twin. You know, twins aren't necessarily identical twins. They can be fraternal twins. Is that it? What do they call it when they're not identical?
Fraternal is right.
Yeah. So
yeah, but in this case, a clone's a clone, right?
Right. A clone is a clone. She's
so she. All right. So one of 2 things has happened for this cloning to occur, all right? And so if it's unaltered, that means they've gone in and basically split the genes. Since we know that males have XY, they've only taken the X portion of Boba Fett and combined the 2 X's, and then not to bring too super sciencey into Star Wars, but it's assumed that at least that portion is the same. So they've taken 2 X's of Jango Fett, combined those where the DNA of Boba Fett was directly cloned. Assuming that they come from Jango, right?
Right.
That's what it would take in order to create the female.
Yeah. Well, it would and it wouldn't, right? You're going too far down the science route.
Right. I'm just saying that
Star Wars doesn't necessarily do that, right? If you look at the other alternate,
right, but they're sci fantasy. They do use some science, and you just kind of figure out what it is.
But even the bad guys, they've changed their height, their bulk, their intelligence. Like, how do you genetically manipulate DNA to make it more intelligent, right? How do you some of these things are just fantasy. So.
Well, I can answer that from the science realm too.
Well, I think it's dangerous when you do that because Star Wars will step on you over and over again.
Right. That's why I said throw physics out the window. That was my video back in the day.
Right. That's exactly right. You got to be careful. We were talking on Discord today that you start feeling the onion too much and you'll start crying. Right.
No, absolutely. I'm just. I'm just saying that I made some assumptions. I stated with those assumptions, assuming that basic, egg formation is the same, and gender or sex determination is the same. Then those are the two assumptions. So starting from, and with that the case, that you can manipulate genes to have more strength or more intelligence or things, assuming we knew what genes affected those things, right? Well, and then we assume that they do in science, in Star Wars, and then but the simple one is the X and XY. That's the simple one.
You just flip one, right? You flip it to an XY and you're good to go. So
that's the male. XX would be the female.
Yeah. So it's easy just to flip them, right? And there you go. And they're actually doing that in science today, where they can manipulate that chromosome and determine if it's going to be a boy or a girl. They can force it. So that's neither here nor there. The question is, how much manipulation can they do, and still keep with the basic premise of she has pure first generation DNA, pure and unaltered are the two conflicting. Pure and unaltered, and then her being a enhanced. Can you be enhanced and pure and unaltered? That's right. That becomes the difficult part. And then the other part is in the material that came out for this week's episode. It said in the description for this, it said Omega is said to have right. Omega is said to have, not Omega is, right? And so I think you can absolutely, and she talked about a little bit, and I put it in a comment on his video, that you can play, and I got this from Star Wars Meg, by the way, when that word said it could have great implication. Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, but I mean that's the point, is that I think they're establishing some incongruities so that they can have a twist. It leads you one way, you're looking in one direction. So the twist, I think, no, I'm not saying I'm perfectly accurate on the twist, but I mean, it's, I think there is definitely going to be a twist with her, and that the statement that Tech said, there are some flaws and that the full information isn't there. And some of his assumptions are incorrect.
Some of his assumptions I think are incorrect as well, and I think the biggest clue is that it is said that she has that they put out on the website, and like Levi putting here as well, that she's technically one of the 5 enhanced clones.
That was also a statement before.
That was.
So there's 5, right? So there's 5. She's enhanced, but now she's untouched DNA.
Well, it doesn't say untouched; it says pure.
Pure DNA, I should say.
Yeah. So how do you reconcile these things? Well, Star Wars does it by saying, well, from a certain point of view. Right?
Yeah. Well, when I say untouched DNA, I was referring to that. No, it's another way of saying, it is a synonym. How about that?
Right. and I think Mark's onto a little bit here, right? It may mean undiluted, not necessarily the DNA code within it, right? And I think Theory has done many videos on this as well, that over the different generations, it's like taking a photocopy and then taking the photocopy and photocopying it, and then taking that one and photocopying it. And as you do that, the quality of the photocopy degrades. Right. So that it is perceptively different than the original. And so in this case, I think it's we're going back to the original and creating a clean photocopy, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where the science of Star Wars doesn't align with because it's just data manipulation. Really, even in the genes. So like if you're the ability to manipulate genes, you also have the ability to some degree to recreate them. So I mean, like the way they're doing things, they have the it's just the science is funny, because like, oh, wait a minute, we'd have the capability if we had this kind of science. So, well, guess what? They don't have that capability.
Right. And Martin's exactly on it here. It's really unlike us Star Wars fans. They analyze one single word to find deeper meaning. It's a much like Hasbro collectors complaining about the one figure that they still don't have.
That's right.
Blurg.
It's exactly like that.
By the way, I was reading the latest.
We will not find out the meeting, and you're not getting your blurg.
I was reading the latest High Republic novel, and in it they are writing blurg-like creatures. They have long hair like a bantha. They have the body of a blurg, but they're long-haired like a bantha. So
they're flurgs.
Well, they actually have a name for them, but I like that one better than the one that they came up with. But I can't wait to get my blurg in for the sake of this discussion. My flurg. I get a blurg and a flurg. That's good stuff. Levi saying, I think Pure is referencing how she doesn't have the aging. I agree too, Levi. That's what we were sort of getting at there just a little bit. And I've been enjoying the conversation between XR Kun and Nikki. And, XR, what happened is you kind of went silent on us a little while. Nikki stepped into the spot and she took all your coal while you were away. And now you've got to earn it back. And I see where she's only going. I love the comment on here. Only 1/4 portion for you. That was a great reference.
1/4 portion.
but wait a minute. Yesterday it was worth more. That's what happens when you're gone. So there you go. Right.
60 portions for the droid.
Right. Yeah, don't think about it too hard, right? That's absolutely true. So let's see. Just the one thing, no blurg. You guys are great. I'm loving it.
No blurg for you.
You're
only going to get the 1/4 portion.
Yeah, it's great stuff. You guys in the chat are just absolutely killing it. And I'm enjoying it, and I'm trying to talk to the Magic Maker. You're distracting me. See how you are? That's really good.
It's fine. Keep it up, guys. I'm ADD anyway, so I can't keep.
It's going really well. So I think we've kind of delved into Omega's situation here, right? I do think she is a Fett. And I think eventually she will claim that Fett name. She may or may not change Omega, but I do think she will adopt the Fett name, and that she will wear that white prototype armor.
So she's going to be Biba Fett.
Oh yeah, it's hard to say. Hey, excellent in the chat. Good to see you, friend. And next week, we need to get together and schedule a show together so that we can come in and we can also nerd out about Star Wars. So hit me up. We need to get that. We need to get it scheduled and quit just talking about it. Omega Fett, right? It absolutely could be Omega Fett.
Could be Vega Fett.
Vega Fett. There you go. And
that's already in my story. Vega Fett. That's the funny part.
There's Levi with the name. I knew his mind. He picks up on these things and he can remember them. Like you said, he's young. He's in college. That's his job, is to remember things.
We just want you to know we hate you.
You will get old too, my friend. You won't be able to remember things either.
Cherish these moments.
Exactly. No, they're called Slarga. So the furry blurgs are called Slarga. So, but I think
Flurg is better.
I think it's a better name. I really like Flurg, and I'm really sad that they're not Flurgs. So anyway, that's great. XRK. Imagine having a memory. I know. What would that be like? I don't know.
What?
Martin, it's going to be Snoke Fett. There you go. There you go. Snoke Fett Starship. There you go. Oh, Martin is so hilarious. And Martin has the Zuvium, a Constable Zuvio from The Force Awakens, that stellar anchor character for the whole movie, was really pivotal to understanding the Force Awakens. He was such a primary character in the movie. How could anybody not absolutely adore and cherish all things Constable Zuvio. Right?
Absolutely.
But he has a Zuvium over there. He's hoarding the market on Constable Zuvio figures, both Black Series and Vintage Collection figures. And if you ever get the chance to take a tour of the Zuvium, you must take it, because Martin is hilarious. His sense of humor, his delivery is perfect, and that Zuvium tour is is gold. It is gold. And I've got a pin here to prove that I did the tour, so that's great. So the Zuvium is real, and you should all take it. Yeah, Zuvio stocks cannot fall. Right?
That's right.
It's Martin's retirement plan. Right? He needs that to go up. Yes, Zuvio was 100% in the film. He was. Just
very far in the back.
Well, and like 3 frames.
Yeah. I think he passes by. I think you see it like pop.
The camera goes by. He's not even in focus.
I know.
The Zuvium sounds like cryptocurrency, except the difference here, Levi, is that the Zuvios are absolutely real, where cryptocurrency is made up. Right? So there you go.
And you can sell your cryptocurrency for more than the Zuvio.
Yeah. Well, it depends.
Unless it's what the heck, I can't even think of the name of it. It's the Dogecoin. Dogecoin.
Yeah, he saw one listed on eBay, I think, for like $25 or I can't remember. It was a decent amount of money, and Martin picks these things up for like $1, or like they're gifted to him, right? For free. He gets them for like $1 or £1 or a euro, right? He gets them at a discount rate, and then he's hoarding them. And so when the prices go up, you can imagine from like €1 that goes up to 15 euros for a Zuvio, Martin would be very well off. Currency.
Yeah, but the problem is they won't let me put the Zuvios in the bank.
Well, he has them in a vault, and he keeps them in a vault. They're quite secure. We can.
All right, we have 2 topics and 8 minutes. So,
sorry. Episode 10 is coming up, and there's the episode titles were already leaked. And so, what do you think we might get this week? So, I put
the title. I don't remember what the title is. The next one.
Virtual. What was that title? Hold on, I've got it right here in front of me. I just need to go over. Where is it? Common Ground. And so.
That's when we finish Shin and them meeting up. I think that's the common ground.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do think that they will end up teaming with Fennec, and I think that eventually Omega will go with Fennec. And during the original trilogy era, that's where Omega and Fennec will be together. That's why we haven't seen them.
Oh, wow. That actually kind of brings Fennec full circle back to Boba Fett, actually.
It does. And
wow.
It accounts for it, and they've already set it up twice already. Fennec has said, "I'm here to help you." Right. And Omega's running from her. Omega's like, right. Well, kidnapping me isn't, her idea of help. And I get that. But at the same time, Fennec keeps telling her, I'm trying to protect you, kid. I'm trying to help you. So twice that's happened now, 2 different episodes. And I think that's exactly what's going to end up happening. So Common Ground becomes them perhaps coming on terms with Fennec. Maybe not. That may happen later. I think eventually that will happen. Yeah, and I'm with Levi. I think we're going to Raxus. I think that's what's this next episode. And I think a Magic Maker, I can't hear you. I don't know if you muted yourself, but I know that you think that's going to come a little bit later. He's muted. Yeah. So we do have 2 other topics. I want to make sure we get to them before we lose a Magic Maker. Oh, he's gone. His device dropped it. It dropped its. He can't unmute. He'll be back. He'll have to reconnect. So as soon as he comes back, we'll get him on. There's two other topics, and they're on the thumbnail here. We want to get to them, and the first one is a follow up to an article we saw earlier with Leslie Headland, and Leslie. This is with The Wrap. The Wrap is one of the more mainstream magazines, and they did an interview with her. And I thought that there's some really good stuff in here to pick out. Firstly, a lot of it's overlap that we've seen before, but she talks about how growing up, she was heavily influenced by the Phantom Menace. And so it's right here. And let me see if I can enlarge this for you all so you can see. Yeah. That's a really good idea, Mark. So Levi, if you are near your Discord, I will shoot you a link and you can join us in the discussion. So let me do that real quick. You guys hold on. Let me pull up Levi here. Levi, there you are. I'll shoot you the link. If you can join, that'd be great. One thing we don't want is Martin on here hazing me over over the blurgs. So
I'm back.
You're back. You're back.
Yeah.
I sent a link. We may get Levi to join with us as well. We'll see.
Right. Well,
so
all of a sudden, my permissions all went away. I couldn't talk or do anything.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. So in here, we have, she talked about how she's working on the Acolyte, and she said that the Phantom Menace, she said, I can say the reason it appealed to me is when she was 18, the Phantom Menace came out, and she was a very big Star Wars fan. She still is, but at that time, it was a big pivotal moment of her life, and she was discovering who she is and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, they talk a lot about that. There's a few things that I think are really important in this whole thing. Two, she's talking about how the Jedi get the way they are because they're like, interesting. When Darth Maul shows up, they're not like, oh my gosh.
Right. Right.
And then the other aspect that she talks about is bringing in writers that really haven't seen Star Wars and let them read the story and have the idea of the story so that they just play it out as a story as opposed to how it is like making sure that, oh, this is Star Warsy.
Right. There's two things with that. And I see a lot of people focusing on, she did hire a writer who has no knowledge of Star Wars to speak of and was watching it. But the writer's room as a whole was full of more than just that one, right? There were plenty of writers.
I think it's an outrage.
Right. Again, it just, people make me crazy.
Fire Leslie Headland.
She hired lots of writers who were also huge fans of Star Wars, right? So she's not only hiring writers who've never seen Star Wars.
It's all lies.
She doesn't even have a large number of them. I think there's one. There's one writer in the room that's never seen Star Wars. Everybody else has experience. They've been there. They've seen it. So yeah, I think there's a lot of outrage about that one comment about the writer that hadn't seen it. But she does talk a lot about having Star Wars fans in the room. And not only that, but she does go on to, and she keeps getting asked these questions, and I'll bring it up. She gets asked almost every single interview I've seen about her sexuality and how it ties in.
Yeah, I mean,
I
got to that part. It was such bad writing on that portion. I had to actually go away from it. Not because of what their topic was. It just kept layering that portion into it. It's like, I get it. So I was like, I had to kind of move past that.
Yeah. And you made it.
I did.
There you are. But she also goes on quite a bit about, I think every single time she's asked this, and it was in the other interview as well, she redirects to saying it's about the characters and this is the story. And she really focuses on that, and then how people can interpret it for themselves. She's not casting and she's not writing based on these preferences. Oh, we lost the Magic Mary. She's not writing on those. She's writing on a good story. And so, what are your thoughts there, Levi?
Well, I got a news flash for anybody listening out there. Tony Gilroy doesn't care about Star Wars, and he made, arguably one of the greatest Star Wars films ever made. Rogue One, he came in and gutted that thing. He's working on Andor, and he famously is like, I don't care. He doesn't know what a Gungan is. He doesn't know. Like, he's like, whatever, dude. I'm just here to tell a story. So the whole, the fact that she has one writer to check if the story makes sense is like the people getting mad about it. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, this woman is talking about how she loves Heir to the Empire, and she played the RPG. She's played KOTOR and Fallen Order. Like, she loves Star Wars. I think we're in good hands, guys. Just because she brought in one person to be like, hey, does the story make sense? It's not the end of the world. I think we're going to be okay.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%, Levi. And it's in the article. If you read the article, you can see when she replies back about how she's more interested in the story, and that as you just kind of outlined, she's a sweaty. She's with us, right? She's a sweaty. She knows. She has a depth of knowledge from playing the games, reading the books, watching the movies, all of that. And then not only that, but it seems like she's working with John. She talks about how The Mandalorian attracts not only Star Wars fans, but also like people like her mother who have no idea what's going on, but they fall in love with the characters.
Yeah.
And then, and I think that's an experience a lot of people have had where they see that other, normies fell in love with The Mandalorian. And there's a classic meme out there, the Trojan horse meme, right? And it shows like Baby Yoda is the Trojan horse, and inside is like all of Star Wars. And so they're like, oh, look how cute. And they they get caught up with it, and then that introduces them to it.
And that's one of the great things about this franchise that you have. I think we forget that its creator, George, is famously not very sweaty about Star Wars really at all. Like Seth Green, not Seth Green, it's not Seth MacFarlane, creator of Family Guy, has a great interview with him where he's quizzing him on Star Wars, and George gets none of it right because George doesn't care. For George, it's all about the emotion. It's about the feeling, able to putting out the story. It's it's the core, it's the femur, as it were, the skeleton of the story that matters most. Like, he famously, I don't think really cared about any of this stuff. Like, he had his whole obsession with Darth Talon, wanting to put her in stuff. Do I think he read a single Legacy comic book? No, I don't, and I don't think it mattered. Like, to him, it was all about creating a good story. And so now we're at the point where people who are just so steeped in knowledge and lore that it has always been sort of extra to the galaxy is now making it. I think we're in fine hands, guys.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Nikki already has all the coal. She doesn't need any more, so she's just going to stay out of this. I know where Nikki's is on this, and this is why I was picking on her the other day, that she was earning all the coal because she was voicing her opinions about these things.
I'm so excited for this show.
Oh, I am super excited for it. And this is the paragraph I think you were referencing, and that I'm getting to here. Yeah, an XR Coon. I know XR and Nikki right there. Here's what she talks. When I noticed was that most of the scripts that she responded to were by Star Wars fans, and then most of the people I met were people that were really big fans of the franchise, but maybe not as familiar with Mandalorian Clone Wars producer Dave Filoni's work. Clone Wars hadn't played, or they weren't familiar with it. They hadn't played the video games. And then there were people like myself, right? So she's saying, like myself, that have watched all the Clone Wars. She's played Fallen Order. She's played Knights of the Old Republic, which for those folks. She's done a lot of the RPGs, including Edge of the Empire. And so she was very into Star Wars. And she's been into it since she was a kid. and that's in there as well. So she didn't necessarily look for people who were into it as much as she was, but she was more interested in why they were into it. So she didn't seek out people who had not, right? It was more that she's looking for people who responded to work with. And everybody had different answers. So a lot of people have focused on that one writer that she gave as an example, but I just don't think that's it, right?
I think it's a strange thing to get fixated on.
Yeah.
As I'm saying, like George Lucas, I don't think George Lucas didn't care about all of those details that we love. And like for so many characters and background characters that all have their own stories now, like, Quinlan Voss or Aayla Secura, two big characters from Legends and canon. Like he would just see like a piece of art and be like, put that in there. Like he's just like, he was all about the passion of the creativity, the finer point details. He left that to us fans to, tell our own stories. And that's the beauty of it. That's the whole joy. That's the whole point of the world he created, is that everyone can just go in and create a myriad of stories, all different ways, because that's how dense and wonderful the galaxy is. But in terms of crafting the story, like it doesn't, I don't think it really matters how deep you are in it. It's all about the story. And
it's about the story. And I encourage, every time she's interviewed, she comes back to that, and they keep trying to push on the LGBTQ plus stuff, right? Because she is active in that community.
Magic Maker was right. There's a really poorly written part of the article that is just like, this is not well written. Like, who wrote this? Like, it was like, oh god.
And I've seen it in the other article as well, where the interviewer is pushing it in, and she keeps redirecting back to Star Wars. She's like, yeah, that's an interesting question, or this is interesting. And then she jumps right back into Star Wars. That's not really the thing that she is focused on. And she realizes, because she's part of that community, how important it is and all that. But that's not what she's writing. She's writing Star Wars, and that's what she really seems interested in. And I this is what I was talking about before. She thinks it's important to make her series accessible not only diehard Star Wars fans, but to a viewer who's just entering. And she uses the example of The Mandalorian, right? And so here's where she says, Jon Favreau did it perfectly with The Mandalorian. It's a show that in the second scene especially really paid off if you're a Clone Wars fan. If you're a fan of the IP and other parts of Star Wars media, you're like, oh, this is great, right? We pick up on some of those Easter eggs, and we're like, oh, did you see right?
Yeah.
And then, and she mentions the Darksaber, for example, right? Like for a sweaty, you see Moff Gideon get out with that Darksaber. You're like, oh, it's the thing.
It's the thing.
Right.
The thing.
And everybody's looking at you like, what?
Santa, I'll tell you one. I was watching Mandalorian season 2, episode 3, or chapter 11 or whatever. The Heiress with when Bo-Katan showed up, and I was watching it with some people who hadn't really seen Rebels or Clone Wars or whatever. They'd seen live action Star Wars, and when Bo-Katan comes down, I'm like freaking out. When she takes off her helmet, the people around me were like, "Oh, she's not a real Mandalorian," and I was like, she's the realest Mandalorian. I'm like, she's the queen. Like, she's legit. I'm like, no, you don't even know. She's a real Mandalorian. And they're all like, well, she's not a real Mandalorian. I'm like, no, you don't even know.
Oh yeah, real Mandalorians have to wear their helmets. I saw it in this show.
Yeah, I saw it, and I was like, but she's the real one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny stuff like that.
It is. And so I thought it was great. She's bringing that up as an example. This is why I said that Trojan horse thing comes in, because she said she's talking to her mom, and her mom got involved because she got caught up with the characters, right? She can watch Mandalorians get invested in the central connection between the main two characters because it's universal. It's deeply emblematic. And she says, I think of what George Lucas wanted to bring into the world when he created it. So she's thinking about George Lucas. She's working with John and Dave. That I think it's something that a lot of people overlook with all of this rhetoric is they get worried that she's bringing in a writer that has no experience. What do you think Dave's doing? Is he just like, oh, Leslie's over there doing her thing?
Well, now that Dave has his promotion to executive creative director or whatever, I imagine he has some say or influence, like you go to Dave to ask questions about stuff. And what the really exciting quote for me in this article, the world right before the Phantom Menace, and that is like awesome for me. I'm sorry, reading Martin's thing. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, another one of those conversations. People were like, "Isn't Yoda dead?" Or it's like, "Is this before that?" I'm like, "No, it's Yoda, but it's not Yoda. Like this isn't Yoda. Yoda died like 5 years ago." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, whatever. Just enjoy the show. It's not, just have a good time.
That's exactly right. And I think that, I know XR Kun. I need to get ad blocker. It makes me crazy. And that's what's really lagging.
I kept trying to click them away.
Oh, yeah.
When I first got in, and I was like, what are all these ads on stream?
Wait, it's on
Santa's website.
Yeah.
And Nikki, and XR, talking about the George detailed thing, the claim I made. I don't know, all the making of books I've read, and I've read quite a few in the documentaries, like he has so much going on in his brain. That's the beauty of it. Like it's all in here, but he has to rely on concept artists and a whole team of people. Like he famously has the Fabuloso sticker, and like his world is so just in like the few sentences he can say, rich in concept, that people can take it and then create whole worlds out of it. Like that's the joy of it. So it's detailed in that way, but in terms of he actually like knowing the stuff in the Star Wars movies, I don't think he cares. I would really encourage you to watch that Seth MacFarlane interview. It's so funny. Seth MacFarlane's like quizzing him, and he's like singing beats from Star Wars, and George is like, I don't care. So he's like, I don't know what that is, and Seth is like, well, that's that's Cloud City, and he's like, I don't know. Like, he doesn't know, and like he's there to have it's like, I love George.
Yeah. I always go back to the blue lightsaber switch to green lightsaber switch, and there's the false information out there that lightsaber was changed because of the sky. Right. That's not why it was changed. It was going to be blue, and in many of the promotional posters and many of the early filming that they started like releasing and showing, it was blue. You can find the footage. You can find this. The
Revenge of the Jedi it's blue in that, right?
Right.
The original with the hands. Yeah. Exactly.
And there was a really famous discussion. If you start to dig into that, you can find where he's got this blue lightsaber, and somebody asked, I can't remember, it was one of them. Anyway, they asked, how are we going to explain how he got the lightsaber back after he got his hand chopped off? And George is like, we don't worry about it. We'll put a thing in one of the.
George Lucas famously said, "Continuity is for wimps."
Right.
This guy, some of the elevator conversations that Dave Filoni talks about are so great.
That's great. Yeah.
He's Jar Jar back.
He didn't care. He did I don't care how he got the lightsaber.
It's all about the story. The story is the core.
Right, that's not part of the story. And then I think it was Kasdan, or I want to say Kasdan, I could be wrong, says, well, why don't we just make it green? He's like, okay. Like that, that's how it changed colors. It wasn't because of the sky color. It's because George really didn't give a flip about, continuity. He didn't care about how he got it. That wasn't important to the story he was telling now. He just wanted to, tell his story.
Yeah, that's really what I wanted. Just trying to say, it's like, it's all about the bones, the skeleton that George was like, that is what has to be strongest. The monomyth aspects, the oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Joseph Campbell elements, so to speak, of the universe are what's more important. Like he didn't, in the prequels, he's not like, yes, the B2 super battle droid versus the droidica and the destroyer. Like, I don't think he cared about any of that stuff.
Nikki, I feel your pain. Look, I know. I love Nikki. She's been a fantastic supporter.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Nikki. I love you. I don't mean anything.
She's one of my mods, and I love her to death. We just don't see eye to eye on things. And that's what I also love about the community as a whole. Right? We can nerd out, and they could say, Santa, you're out of your mind. You're old and you're senile. You don't know what you're talking about, and that's fine. That's fine. And I say, well, Nikki, you're just a young kid. What do you know, right? Oops, Levi's young too. So anyway, young people know lots of stuff.
I am curious. to change topics a little bit, to know
Yeah.
what a magic maker's logic is, and I've heard him talk before, but why Rax? I'm forgetting why Raxus is later. Why is Raxus so much later in Bad Batch? Talking about Bad Batch.
He's working on, and I wanted to show and I did a lot of people think we're going to go back to Camino now, that they need to flesh out more of the arc with Omega before we go to another mission. So they feel like that's an incomplete.
I think we will go to Camino, but just based on the fact that he's like, Hunter's like, I promise you, we'll never go to Camino. That means they're going to Camino. But so soon, I don't think so. I feel like that'd be kind of weird.
Yeah, and Nikki, yeah, I do know you love me, and that's why you're here. We're good friends. It's just like my friend Martin, who's here bugging me all the time.
I love the Zuvium thing. It really sounds like a cryptocurrency. Like Zuvium's going through the roof. I can see the people in suits, on the phone, like Zuvium's going up. Sell.
Well,
the Zuvio stock.
I know.
Great.
I know that your co-host Johnny is working with Martin to schedule his Zuvio tour. So you have to have that.
I love that.
Tell Santa Bubba will kill Cad Bane. No, I think Cad Bane.
I mean, Sheev. I think that too. I've argued for your point. I'm part of the train. I'm part of the Boba will kill Cad train. I'll lose the bet. I'm not in on it, but I'm for it. Boba is the baddest around. Cad is the current baddest. He's the star. Cad's star has to fall so Boba's can rise. Take him out.
Nope.
I just nope. Cad lives forever.
Well, Cad Bane is the GOAT. That's it, right? Cad Bane's the GOAT. Boba Fett's a chump. He got yeeted into the Sarlacc by a blind guy that couldn't even see. So there you go.
I like Exar Kun's idea. Embo will kill both. Yeah.
There you go. As long as Cad Bane doesn't die from Boba Fett, I'll be a happy guy. I just want Sheev to have to lose the bet. And that's
at this point, I think it's more in principle, Santa, that you oppose the idea, whatever narrative sense it makes. It's
100%. Because now that I've got the bet, that's all that matters. The story, who cares? We're gonna have.
And speaking of story, I think I put it in the chat earlier. I think Omega has to take a whole new name, because if Boba was Alpha and it's Alpha and Omega, those are just the designations that they were given by the Kaminoans. And as Omega maybe goes her separate way with the Kaminoans, I feel like she's got to take on her own identity. A Rey Skywalker situation, if you would.
Oh,
perhaps.
Well, maybe.
Perhaps.
Maybe she'll be a Fett. We'll see.
Yeah, Fett Snoke. I like that idea.
Do want to go to talk about Patty Jenkins, and she did an interview recently about the work she's doing on Rogue Squadron, and this is interesting as well. I'll let it play and see if you guys can hear it. Let me make sure the volume's up. The link is in the description here. So if you guys can't hear it, you need to go check it out. You can do that later. So here we go.
Right now, I'm definitely doing Rogue Squadron next, and I'm excited to do Wonder Woman 3. And so, these are all, and Cleopatra is coming along great as well. And so we'll see how it works out. But, I may just never stop. I may just make movies back to back if they would let me. I would love it. So I think the Michael Stackpole books and the video game and all of the Rogue Squadron books, I think they all have, there's an incredible history that it's really important to honor. And yet it must be brought to a new age because we have to tell a new story with it. And so you're trying to blend the best of everything and make it the great fighter pilot movie, which I've always wanted to make as well. And so, it's a big brew of things that you're trying to put together and still keep a very simple story. You're trying to bring the best of yourself and use it to make something beautiful that honors the legacy before you. But of course, it's a huge amount of pressure, and Wonder Woman was a huge amount of pressure as well. So, it's not a totally new feeling to me, but yeah, definitely nerve-wracking.
So there you go. And Martin, Saying, I bet Warner Brothers, she got the WB logo right behind her.
Yeah.
I loved her talking about Disney. Of course, this gets clipped out and it's all Star Wars talk with the WB logo behind her.
As one of like the 8 people on the planet who liked the second Wonder Woman movie, I'm still excited for Rogue Squadron. And I know a lot of people were like, "Yikes!" and then they lost their love for Rogue Squadron or excitement. But I'm still chugging along.
Well, I'm with you largely because the second Wonder Woman movie wasn't as good as the first for me, but I didn't think it was the hot pile of garbage that a lot of people do. For me, it was certainly some problems.
I'm a sucker for cheese. That movie was so much cheese. I'm not lactose intolerant, I'll take all the cheese you can get.
Well,
Pedro Pascal was so
brilliant, right? Pedro Pascal was brilliant. I loved seeing him in that movie. But I do think she said some really, really positive things in here that she needs to honor the Rogue Squadron that already exists, right? She's not going to throw that out to make her own Rogue Squadron. It's going to be very honor. That's within her scope, is to make sure it honors that, as well as telling something new to a new generation and telling the fighter pilot story. So all that I thought was really, really cool to hear, and that Patty is working hard to make sure it all fits together. And again, I'll bring it back up. Dave Filoni has a new job title.
And he does.
And with that job title, presumably comes some job responsibilities.
And it was something that he already kind of did, right? I mean, because through all of the sequel productions, he was involved in those early storyboard meetings and those production meetings. And I can go, grab my sequel art books where he's quoted in every single one, because he's having these discussions with the story team for all 3 films. And he's always sort of been, as George's apprentice, this person that people would go to. Like, he's this entity in the company that has such a close connection to George's ideas and what, like, the pure, to tie it into this whole Omega thing. Dave's got pure, unaltered, George ideas up in his head with some of his own. And so people have been going to him in this role for so long. And so it makes sense that he would get promoted in some sort of official capacity, so he can see and influence all of these projects.
Martin,
our ship name change.
I already know what our next. He's hazing me about the blurg. He's been hazing me about the blurg. He's rooting that the quill gets canceled right before they ship it to me. Right, the vintage collection quill gets pulled. Right, they said no, we can't.
Take it from you. Yeah,
Nick Nolte's too toxic. We can't release this figure, and so that Santa gets his quill canceled, and that the blurg, that I don't get my blurg, just so that I rage on Hasbro.
I just love that Starship name changer.
Starship name changer.
They've been doing it for so long. I think the slave one is just a unique case because it's a name that Kenner gave it. It's much like so it had like that legacy of. Kenner gave it the name. Like, I really don't think this has anything to do with, as for some, the narrative has been Disney doesn't want to deal with slavery, but slavery is like a huge part of Star Wars. That's definitely not it. It's definitely a marketing thing. Like, they want to sell the most toys to the lowest common denominator, which is the uninformed parent. When little Timmy is like, "Hey, can I have Boba Fett's ship?" and it's a little Lego set, no one's saying, "Hey, get me Slave One." Like, the 5-year-old kid doesn't know what that is.
Yeah, and I think that's fair for all the Star Wars models that we were talking before, like the Havoc Marauder. Even though you hear
Bad Batch Attack Shuttle, it's something that has to have extreme name recognition for it to warrant the name. And the Falcon is like the only example, because almost every other ship in Star Wars Lego is like the generic name.
That's good. Yeah, Nick Nolte said hi, so we must cancel him. Right. So if Nick Nolte gets canceled, then I can lose my quill. That's what. Yep. And they just want to see Santa.
I mean, it's always called. It's always called Luke Skywalker's X-wing. It's not called Red 5. It's called Poe Dameron's X-wing. It's not called Black 1. Like, come on, guys. Like, it's always the lowest common denominator is what they're trying to market to. It's just business sense, and I actually don't think that Slave 1 will actually get changed on any of the more expensive stuff. I think this is a Lego decision. Like, your vintage collection thing, if you're an adult has to buy that for themselves. If it's that's
Right.
a few $100s, that's going to say Slave One on it. But like the $40 Lego set, that's the smallest version that we've gotten of Slave One, I think, ever. That's going to say Boba Fett's Starship because it's for 4-year-olds. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes sense to me. It seems like a savvy marketing decision.
Yeah, I do want to close out on the Rogue Squadron real quick. We kind of
Sorry.
But yeah, the Rogue Squadron thing, I'm excited for it. Wonder Woman 84 didn't remove my enthusiasm for Patty Jenkins. I still think Wonder Woman 3, whatever it's going to be, I'll line up to see it. Right? I'm not at all disenfranchised with Patty, and hearing the story about her wanting to do a fighter pilot movie for her dad tells me she cares. She cares deeply, right? For her, it's personal. It's something that she wants to do that is good. She's not going to want to put out a piece of hot flaming trash to honor her father, and she's here understands the importance of honoring Rogue Squadron, the game. So I think she'll do just fine.
Matt's saying I didn't even know Patty Jenkins directed Wonder Woman 1984. Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, there you go. There you go. So I'm really excited for Rogue Squadron. Now, with the movies, they're kind of taking a back burner to the live action shows
right now.
This weekend we're supposed to get our first looks at Visions, right?
Yeah, a couple days, 2 days from now. Very exciting.
That's right. Very exciting.
Very exciting.
So next week we could talk about Visions stuff. You guys may do it this weekend. I take weekends off, but so the Visions footage is going to come out and Disney Plus. Everybody's talking about the Book of Boba Fett. Everybody's talking about Kenobi, right? Those are all series.
The reason we're getting Acolyte news is because the Direct reported that it starts filming in February.
It starts filming in February.
And so, that's a 2023 show right there. That's going to come out before Rogue Squadron, which is honestly surprising to me.
Well, and that's what I was getting to, is like these movies have taken a back seat. And when we start to get a regular cadence of movies again, I really don't know.
I think this movie schedule is getting changed.
Yep,
100%.
I do too.
100%, especially after how hot Loki is, Michael Waldron, and how hot I assume Doctor Strange will be. And he's already signed, he's announced, and has talked about he's working on a Star Wars project. Disney is going to want to fast track that thing. Like, people are all over Michael Waldron right now. People want to see that content before 2027. That's way too long. Way too long down the line.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't know how much the future will really focus on these movies. We kind of discussed it before, or I've discussed it before, how I think the Disney Plus series, Marvel and Star Wars, are going to focus on these series to do character development, to do story development, and movies will be some event, right? Like you end up with Infinity War, or you end up with some major conflict that comes up where everything comes together at once. And so if we were to apply that to Star Wars, it could be once all the stuff with Grand Admiral Thrawn bubbles up, right? They'll be setting it up. And
imagine a movie just called Heir to the Empire, but it's like the end of this Mandoverse. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and Kendall asked a great question. Normies to nerds. Kendall asked a good question. Should Star Wars just stick to shows at this point? I think that's the best investment at this point for the franchise.
Yeah, there is something about seeing a Star Wars movie on the big screen that I don't want to leave anytime soon.
Yeah, but movies make it tough.
Yeah,
because you just don't have the same kind of scope you do in a series.
So
and the series they get all that hype, they get all the having it carry out over weeks. Like even the Bad Batch to me feels like it started off high and then it kind of went into a valley. And I could see in my YouTube analytics, Bad Batch videos were consistently lower than other content.
Episodes 4 and 5 were in my analogy of the Bad Batch is like a big painting, and we're seeing it being painted. It was like some gray in there, but it has to be there to make the painting a whole thing.
Right.
So it's you have to see. We have to wait till the whole season is done to see the full picture to really appreciate it. And that's what
I agree. I agree. But it feels to me like now it's picking up.
Oh my gosh, yes. The last 3 episodes
And-
have been like amazing.
Well, Cad Bane tipped the scales,
It did.
right?
Yeah.
And now we're just rocketing. In those episodes, the Cad Bane episode, last episode, and where we're headed, to me feel super exciting. And I think as Matt put in here, they're much less divisive than movies can be. So yeah, I keep seeing these series doing the character development and the story development for us, and then the movie.
It's easier to not like a part of it's easier to not like a part of a show as an episode than it is to deem a whole movie bad because you didn't like a part of the movie.
Right. And Martin raises another interesting point that I want to kind of touch on since he raised it. That we could see Disney Plus shows having special showings.
I hope so. I am so jealous of those people who saw Mandalorian on the big screen for the premiere. They saw the first 3 episodes as like one movie. So jealous. That would have been so cool.
Not only that, but there's talk of studios buying
theaters,
right? So if Disney were to purchase a theater chain,
I think I don't want to get too nuts and boltsy, but I think at a point, that's illegal. I mean,
that law was just struck down. That's what opened up the discussion.
It was just the one from the late 40s and broke up. That was struck down. Oh
yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, it was struck down a couple months ago. Yeah. So
the middle of school for me, so I missed that. Gosh darn it, really? Well, okay then. Well, to pull it back to Rogue Squadron, as the world's maybe 3rd largest Alphabet Squadron fan.
Oh
I'm
no!
very excited.
Yeah, there's like 5, and you're the 3rd largest. So
I'm like, there's one of them. As Alex from Star Wars Explained, he's up there. It's me and him. There's probably someone in between me and him. I'm 3. That's what I put out there.
Look, Alphabet Squadron. It will kind of wrap things up here a little bit.
I just wanted to plug Alphabet Squadron.
I knew you did. Look, I listened to those. I listened to the first one twice, and then the second and the third book I just finished listening to. To me, it feels like they're too wordy, and that the writer and
Freed.
I said the writer will say in 50 words what he could have said in 10. Right? To me, that's what it feels like. But because a lot of it just drug on and on and on.
It's great to read. It's great to read. It paints a picture.
Well, and I'm rereading and reading Ahsoka. And I just started reading
Rising Storm.
Rising Storm.
11 chapters in. I'm excited to keep going.
Yeah, I'm 5 and moving on. I'll be plowing through that this weekend to get through that on the first read. So that's to me, the Ahsoka novel, revisiting it is really setting up a lot of the series that we have coming because we've got the 6th brother in it. We've got Bail and Leia are mentioned in it. And you see Leia as a toddler moving around, which is sort of exciting. We could see that in the Kenobi series.
We could.
You see Kenobi in the Ahsoka novel. There's a little flashback to him, so it's kind of setting up the whole time frame for us, and we could absolutely see some of that stuff.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I would love to see a 10-year-old Leia.
I mean, if we see Luke, reason stands, and like in Rogue One, Bail talks about how he has his friend, his Jedi friend, Mon Mothma. They know of him, so maybe he gets in contact with Bail when he's off doing whatever he's doing in the show to be like, "Hey, is Leia okay?" Or like, "Hey, the Inquisitors are coming for me. Vader's coming for me. Make sure Leia is out of sight, out of mind, because they're coming."
Exactly. So if you've not read the Ahsoka novel, maybe you read it and you haven't read it again lately, I would encourage anybody watching to go do that. It's been interesting to me to have it in that perspective, not just thinking about Ahsoka, but thinking about all the other stuff that we have right now coming to us. Rereading that book in that context has been really, really rewarding. And of course, Cavan Scott's novel is getting a lot of good press, and a lot of people are putting it on a pedestal.
Number one, yeah, I know. Which is unfortunately, I think, setting me up for a little bit of disappointment. So far, I mean, it's been good so far, but people are like really into it. Like,
yeah, I know. And so
it's awesome.
I'll be working through it, and I've heard that it's like the last third of it.
Yeah, I gotta get there.
Is where it just catches you. So I think, as Matt said, we're pushing up on 2 hours today. Going really. Oh, that's another Heralds of Fire. Our Japanese friend. Good to see you again. Yeah, it's read by Ashley Eckstein. So if you listen to the audio book, you get to hear Ashley as Ahsoka, which is awesome. So it's really good. Yeah, Nikki, love the audiobook with her voice. Yeah, it's
great voice.
Why? Sorry, good. Yeah, again, poking the bear. Continuity doesn't matter. Yeah, I see you. It was George Lucas that said that. So
yes.
Continuities for wimps.
And Mike. So because he's been talking about it. So when Exar Kun was what would it be? Yeah, it used to be a monopoly, but the foundation of antitrust laws was in like the early Truman administration. All the studios, this is like when this Republic serials and stuff. There's the Big Five, and they all owned every part of the production process, including distribution. And the government deemed that to be a monopoly, and then they got broken up into, what until recently was the major studios, but now like Fox is gone. That's by Disney. And so stuff is starting to shift again. And I didn't know that law was apparently struck down in the Supreme Court, that studios can buy theaters again. But I mean, it also has to do with the timing. I don't think that would have been the case if the pandemic didn't happen, because theaters are in a rough place, and for larger society to function, someone has to operate and buy those. So it makes sense. But I didn't know that the law was changed. But yes, it is essentially a monopoly.
Yeah, and Amazon is everybody's lead, right? Amazon to buy AMC still stands as it's Amazon movie chain. Right? Like it's a no-brainer, and they've got the cash. So
think about that. That's a great marketing decision.
Oh yeah, I think
I'm going to invest in AMC with my Zuvium.
With my Zuvium.
Yes.
The problem is I don't have any Zuvium because Martin.
Yikes, Santa. Yikes! I got a few Zuvium.
Well, don't let Martin know where you are. He'll come confiscate them.
Break into my house. Yeah. Some of my favorite tweets about the whole Boba Fett thing were people like joking like, Kathleen Kennedy broke into my house last night and whited out Slate 1 on all of my reference books.
Well, if your Zuvios, Constable Zuvios, ever disappear, I can point you a direction to get,
Yes. Fun fact for all you Star Wars listeners out there: Zuvio is the same species as Embo. They're both Kyozo.
That's right. And
Star Wars fun fact.
And you should take the tour of the Zuvium to learn all these fantastic.
Oh, Embo should be in the Zuvium, Martin. He should be in like an honorary part of the Zuvium. He's the OG.
I strongly recommend that you take the tour of the Zuvium.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to do it, Levi. Martin said the invite is open, and
I will take him up on that offer.
You have to do it. It's gold. Anybody it should see it. Everybody. I jokingly said every real Star Wars fan needs to see the Zuvium.
Yeah, you're not a real fan if you're not a Constable Zuvio.
That's how Star Wars fans are. You got to gatekeep somewhere, and for me, it's on Constable Zuvio. No. Just
more of a Sarko Plank man myself, but an even deeper cut for you guys.
Exactly. If you don't know Constable Zuvio, you're not a real Star Wars fan.
Yeah. If you know Constable Zuvio, then you'll love Sarko Plank. It's like a late night infomercial. Call this number now to see this one frame in Force Awakens.
But Levi, I think you and I can both agree that Colonel Gaston Meever Gaston is the worst character in all of Star Wars.
I don't know about that. I think I have to stick up for my good friend Johnny.
I thought you would go ahead and take
on principle, Santa. It's the same reason why I
Look at
Boba,
you being a good
like-
friend.
my cat can't die.
Look at you being a good friend to Johnny. That's very kind of you to say
It's
that.
it's so strange that Steven Stanton is the voice of Meeber Gascon to me. A man who's Admiral Raddus, who's Tarkin, who's Obi-Wan, and he's doing, Meeber Gascon. I'm Colonel Meeber Gascon. Yeah. Well,
Otherwise known as Plankton in.
Plankton. He is Plankton.
I love it.
That's George Lucas's favorite arc of the Clone Wars. So take that. Take that.
I do know which
One
stuff.
of my favorite Star Wars moments is it's Dave Filoni, to set the stage for you guys. It's Dave Filoni and George Lucas on stage, two pillars of Star Wars. And they get a question, and Dave's talking about how much he loves the Clone Wars, and George is just like, what's the one with the droids? That's my favorite. And everyone's just, Dave's silent. Everyone in the audience silent. Like, it's like DHX. And everyone is just quiet because they're like, what? Like
Exactly.
he doesn't. He's like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, which is proof to me that he sold at a good time. Like anybody who says
would have been all Gascon for the next.
Yeah, anybody who says they want George Lucas back running Lucasfilm, I'm like, yeah. I'll take a pause on that, fam. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, it's still going on, Ducky. You guys, look, we're getting our predictions for tonight's episode, and it's fascinating to see how the votes are coming in. Levi, you and I and a couple others are in the minority. In the minority that think we're going to go to Raxus tonight. Okay. What I'm saying is tonight is a really good opportunity for us to climb the leaderboard.
It is.
It's really
it's tough. It's tough because the next episode is called Devil's Deal. And that could be like maybe no, I think Devil's Deal has to do with a bounty hunter. I think that's some bad elements. I think Common Ground is the most likely option. Sticking to it. Sticking to my gun.
Yeah, I'm sticking to it as well. And so all you people that want to be listed on the wall of fame here that you see scrolling across the bottom.
A lot on there this week.
There is.
Santa took an L this week.
I did take an L. I was way down on the list. But I think based on what I'm seeing, that there's a really good chance the leaderboard might be really short next week. So I can't wait. You guys, all new nerds, you guys cover it live at 3 a.m. Eastern?
For Bad Batch, yes, we do. And then we hop on over to the HoloNet Marauders to discuss it on stream, but we also discuss it on our own stream. But yes, we do have a watch party every night. It's good fun. Our reaction to Cad Bane a couple weeks ago is so one of my favorite things I've ever been a part of. It is so great. The positive emotion is flowing out of us. It's wonderful. Especially, it's just great. And having watched the Clone Wars live, and I often forget that I have that because a lot of people, they're watching Rebels or they watch certain things and they think about certain characters. Like I know all of the clones' names, and it's not simply because of my memory, but it's because I hung on each individual episode for a week, being like, oh my god, like this part, and I remember when Cad Bane showed up and not having seen him in 9 years on screen and having him walk in there, I lost it. I was speechless. It was great.
It was your guys' reaction was great. Did you see mine?
I did. Yeah, yours is great too.
Like
Santa almost broke. He almost broke character a little bit, but he kept the ha-has in there.
It was really, really good. Will Morgan saying Omega's going to die before the end, but not really. Yeah,
Will, we could keep this stream going for another 15 minutes if you want me to talk about my theories with Omega and Boba, but
he has her as Snow White, and so he's predicting that she's going to go into a slumber. So that's where this is coming from. He thinks that it fits the trope, and that she's going to end up being Snow White, and she'll be gone for a period of time to come back for the Book of Boba Fett.
I think that she may be in Book of Boba. The more I think about it, because Dave is involved in. Honestly, I think he's more heavily involved with Book of Boba in its current production. I think he incepted the Bad Batch, but I always want to give credit to Jennifer Corbett and Brad Rao, who are the showrunner and head writer respectively. Like Dave is EP, but people don't give credit for Kathleen Kennedy, who's EP on Mandalorian. You know, like
Right.
Dave is he's further back. He's the same position he was in Resistance on this show, but he's still involved. He still created these characters with George. So I think there could be crossover with Omega, but I always go back to the unfinished arc, you and Sheev's favorite thing of all time to talk about. And in that arc, besides the fact that he and Kaz shoot each other, Boba is like a good guy. All of his dialogue is like, I gotta save the innocents. I'm a good guy. No, Cad. I think he has to have a Solo-esque character arc where he reunites with his family. He finds family with Omega. Omega gets taken away from him. Boba becomes the Boba we know. He loses it. He goes bad for like 20 years. Omega comes back in Book of Boba. There's your character arc.
Fantastic. I love it. But I was arguing with Will this morning that look, and you may have heard me mention it earlier. Fennec has twice told Omega that she's there to help her, and she's trying to save her, protect her. So yeah, she's trying to kidnap her, but that's because Nala Se is trying to save her as well. And so I absolutely think that Omega will end up going with Fennec at some point voluntarily, like at the end of the series, and they will go off together onto their own side mission. And there's another series for you.
So many series.
It's so good. I mean, who wouldn't love to see more Miknay win?
Isn't that great that she was in one episode of Mandalorian and she just became like this fan favorite bounty hunter? I hope we see her as an avid comics reader. I hope we see her in War of the Bounty Hunters. I hope she pops up there, because at that point she's like a Hutt assassin, and I'm like, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be very good. Cool. So look, if you guys haven't got your predictions in for tonight, do so. And tomorrow morning, Santa sleeps overnight. So after you've watched All New Nerds at 3 a.m. and you take a little nap, come over and visit Santa at 7:30. We'll do a watch through.
Yeah, this is early. Before you got me on here, I was watching in bed. It was 9, and I was like, this is just a nice way to start my day, the Santa stream, because I usually sleep until like 10:30 or so on.
Yeah. Well,
always miss it. It's a shame.
No, thanks for coming in. I always enjoy getting to talk with you, and any excuse is a good one. So
it's a good, likewise.
Yeah, so 7:30 tomorrow morning. If you're around, come drop in. I'll watch it live, and then we'll go through the predictions and just see how many people make the Wall of Fame for next week.
It could be a lot. It could be a little.
It's
going to be a real split.
If it's a lot, then Santa's going to be really sad, because I will not be at the top of the list.
I'll be sad too. For me, honestly, it comes down to the fact that I want to stop knowing what's coming. I want Raxus out of the way so I can just be like, I have literally no frame of reference for what is to come. And that makes me excited.
Oh, it makes me too. Me too. So you guys, thank you all for being here today. I'm really, really appreciative. We're coming up on our 4,000 hours. We've had a surge in subscribers this week. Yeah, we're coming up on 2,000 subscribers and 3,700 hours of watch time. So we're just over 300 to go. And we have 3 weeks until my birthday to get there. And we'll have a celebration stream.
We have the opposite problem. We got plenty of watch hours, but only 806 subscribers. We're getting there, guys. You're
getting there. You guys are doing good stuff, and with that will come more subs. We need them. Santa is a sub to All New Nerds, and you guys should be too. So go check them out. Thank you all very much. Appreciate you all being here, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Thank you, Levi. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sure. And until next time, my friends, Merry Christmas. May the Force be with you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.